toward Viksit Bharat 2047, there is one variable that will either fuel our flight or ground our ambitions. Energy, clearly. What a day to be talking about energy. We're in the midst of that massive war in West Asia. India is currently the fastest growing major economy, no doubt about that. And with that growth, though, comes a staggering hunger for power and energy. We are facing a classic high-stakes conundrum. How do we satisfy a peak demand while staying unswerving in our commitment to net zero? It's a delicate balance of security, affordability, and sustainability. To find India's way out, we are proud to join hands with TERI, our knowledge partner for this critical conversation. Take a look.
And the room to grow depends on both.
Energy Conundrum, India's way out.
And with that, let's now get all our panelists on stage. Let's welcome our distinguished panel, starting with Dr. Vibha Dhawan, Director General of TERI. Huge round of applause for Dr. Vibha Dhawan. Thank you, ma'am. Dr. S.S.V. Ramakumar, Chief Technology Officer at AM Green. Mr. K.K. Sharma, Wholetime Director at DCM Shriram Limited. And Mr. Sandeep Chandna, Chief Sustainability Officer at Mahindra. Huge round of applause for all our panelists. And leading this heavyweight panel, this heavyweight discussion, is our moderator, Ambassador Manjeev Singh Puri. Huge round of applause for Ambassador Manjeev Singh Puri. Sir, the floor is all yours.
Are we all there? Great. Thank you very much, TV9. And now, moving on from AI to something which many people would say, we are responsible for it, not the young guys. Their time is yet to come. So what is climate change? Somebody says it's a hoax. But sustainability, is it really so? This entire thing about energy that we are talking about, what exactly are we talking about? Are we responsible for all the greenhouse gases which are there in the atmosphere? Are we responsible for finding the solutions? Do we need the energy for the kind of growth that we are talking about? Focus just on a simple thing. We have Viksit Bharat 2047 along with Net Zero 2070 as our national twin goals. And I think it's something that is of critical importance to everyone. And yes, we have wars. Energy crisis has come right to our doorsteps. And each and every one of us is very familiar with that. But don't we have to find the necessary ingenuity, the necessary innovation that we get to tackle all of that? Because resilience we must show. And at the same time, growth and development for this country, which is today India, the world's largest country, is an absolute imperative. We just must do it. Absolutely important. I'm very grateful to you for having included TERI as your knowledge partner. Perhaps in the developing world, the only organization that was set up more than 50 years back to focus on energy, on resources, on sustainability and climate. It's been a stalwart organization, and I'm very happy to have you, Dr. Dhawan, here in our channel, me myself associated with it. It's a place which has led India, led the global south. Now, before I ask the panelists, and what we will do here over these next 45 minutes, is to ask our panelists to speak a little bit about what they are doing, what do they have to say about what India thinks in the areas where they are focused. We have Dr. Dhawan, who is the Director General of TERI, who will give you an idea of overall issues of sustainability and energy, this conundrum, and from our own experiences as one of the country's leading biotechnologists. We have with us here somebody who's just told me, Mr. Chandna here, who represents Tech Mahindra, perhaps the only Indian company ranked among the very top in the world in global sustainability rankings, a company which is making the waves globally in terms of what it's doing. And I want to share this with you. He just told me that even by the year 2035, 35 years ahead of our national target, Tech Mahindra will be net zero. Sandeep, hearty welcome to you. We have here, you know, there was much mention about, we're sitting in Delhi, so nothing can be more synonymous with the city of Delhi than this one company called DCM. And Mr. Sharma, real welcome to you. But let me tell you, it's not just that they belong to this city, that they belong to the areas where we are, and their heart therefore beats for us. It's what they are doing for us. And please hear him talk in terms of what they are doing in terms of biofuels, using biomass, using so many of these things, and making us bridge this energy conundrum, this energy shortfall that we are experiencing. And then we have someone cutting edge. Mr. Ramakumar, thank you for telling me that they are all good, but you are next generation. You're 2 generations ahead of them. And what you are doing in terms of using technologies and what we are doing in all of this. And of course, we'll ask this burning question. The whole world is moving towards data centers. The last panel was all about AI. They're huge energy guzzlers, isn't it? What does that do for the environment? What do we do about each and every one of those things? Let's have a look at what is possible. And let me tell you, much of the conversation around this panel is going to be around you and your legacy. And so therefore, let me say this to you. I want you to remember that neither is climate change a hoax, nor is sustainability a chimera that we need not change. They are absolutely imperative and critical for us. And of course, without energy, its efficient use and its use in a manner that we make the best possible use of it is an absolute imperative the way we are. Now, before I ask them to comment, did you read the headline here, What India Thinks Today? So I don't know how many of you have thought about, is the world thinking of anything what India thought, let me say, yesterday? And let me draw your attention to a very simple thing. It's solar power. When India took to solar power about 10 years back, in the setting up of including the International Solar Alliance, we've been that particular country which has led the entire global south and bridge this entire energy deficiency while focusing on sustainability. So what used to be said, that what you are thinking today, somebody else will think tomorrow. What India was thinking and is continuing to think, the world will be thinking tomorrow. That's the power of our civilization. That's the power of the country we come from. The world's largest country and the 4th largest economy, which without any doubt will become the 3rd largest economy in the world within the next few years. So Dr. Dhawan, let me turn to you. Since you are the head of something which deals with policy issues, which deals with this entire idea, thinking about what India needs to do. So let's give each of you about 4 or 5 minutes to speak about what you want to say in the areas in which you are focused. To you, I would say, what do you think need to be the big issues for India to move out of this thing called the energy conundrum, while at the same time remaining focused on sustainability? Reason being, we have vulnerabilities. We can't move away from sustainability. So let's hear from you.
Thank you so much. And in fact, you have already said about TERI. We were established in 1974, which was the time that the world energy prices were increasing. And really speaking, today morning I was reading about IAEA directors saying that this particular energy shock which we are going to face in this year is going to be worse than what we faced in 1970s. So that's where we are today. But during that time, it was that I'll just like to acknowledge that we were established by Tata Group of Companies. And that time, no one was talking of renewable energy or nor philanthropy was a big word. So TERI was established as a not-for-profit, autonomous research organization. So these two words, autonomy and not-for-profit, is something that is ensuring that we always remain ahead of the curve, because that's where the money lies. You want to do projects and not for profit, so whatever we do, it's ultimately that it must reach the end user. Now, as an institute, of course, we started more from the policy side of it, but then we also felt that policy alone is not enough. You have to do research, because that's the backbone of, you simply can't say do like this, but do you really have solutions? You have to find those solutions. And then second was that you also have to implement. You have to go to the grassroots level workers. You have to ensure that whatever you have researched on, it doesn't remain in the four walls of the lab. It must reach the end user. So therefore, as an organization, we do everything. We write from cutting-edge research, simple research, taking it to the end-use level workers, as well as working on the policy side. And we are very fortunate that we do have former bureaucrats working with us, because they also tell us what's going to work and what kind of policies will remain on paper. So it becomes a very healthy blend, and to ensure that whatever we do all the time, it's also challenged by young students, and also you change the young mind. So we have also established TERI School of Advanced Studies, which is a deemed university. Now coming to what we do, and I also mentioned that we are autonomous, so which means we work with government, we work with civil society, we work with other NGOs, we work with partners all across the globe. So that autonomy also gives us a lot of exposure, and we are able to say things which may not be liked by the corporate, which may not be that welcome by the government, and that becomes our main strength, that we become a knowledge-based organization. Now coming to the next part, because we all talk of sustainability, and many a times we also think of, is growth and development and sustainability, can they go hand in hand? And that is what I should say is, again, one of our strengths. Way back in 1997, when the entire country was talking about development, growth that has taken place, we were bold enough to say that this growth is not sustainable, but not as an activist. It was more on that there are better ways of doing it. So much before the world started talking about sustainability, we actually started working on that how sustainable development can take place. I'll just draw, like in a way we started as Tata Energy Research Institute, but then while we mentioned about our journey from policy to working with grassroots level workers, we also felt that energy, yes, it's the most important thing, but this is not the only thing. Let's look into food security. And I was actually hired in TERI as a plant biotechnologist with experience in raising productivity of crops and forest species and so on. That how do you do cloning of plants? And then we also felt that let's look into, like, you are talking about circular economy. Waste is a big problem. Land resources, how do you manage those? Green infrastructure. So everything, whatever you do, because we are such a huge country, we might say per capita consumption is amongst the lowest in the world, but why it is so? It is so because of affordability and accessibility. As we develop, these two things are also going to go up. And even in today's scenario, let's not only count per capita, let's also look into what is the density. We are a thickly populated country, and even if our emission per person are on the lower side, in terms of area, it again becomes one of the highest amongst various nations. So therefore, what is imperative for us is that we have to grow, we have to follow sustainable models. And those exist. It's a myth that clean or green means expensive. It's a mindset. And we all can do it. Solutions are available. And as Indians, I'll say we are brought up in an environment, we are very price conscious community, and therefore we look at the pricing. Whatever solutions we offer, they are affordable, whether it's in renewable energy, circular economy. Again, something like we talk of circular economy as a new word today, buzzword today, but that is engraved in every Indian's DNA. We don't believe in wasteful economy. We want to recycle everything, and that's what we have learned from our childhood. So with this, I'll stop here for the time being. Thank you, Ambassador Puri, once again.
Dr. Dhawan, thank you. You know, this is about TERI. I want her to, just for 2 minutes, talk about something which they've done wonderful. We all know TERI in India, but you know, it's perhaps more well-known in the world than perhaps known in India. That's the clout of this organization. Please tell us a little bit about lighting 1 billion lives and moving it to livelihoods. Just for 2 minutes, because what a big global achieving program.
Thank you for asking me this question. And as I repeatedly, maybe you have got that thing that we really want to change the lives of everyone in the country. We also believe that unless and until our rural India develops, India can't develop. Now let's also look into what has limited our growth. And one of the main factors is that, unfortunately, we don't have fossil fuels. And that's why even today we are so worried about LPG and gasoline, what's going to happen to us. But a few years back, 2007-8, that was the time that not even villages, not all the villages were electrified. And with the result, it was a big problem. Like, can you imagine that 6 o'clock or whatever time the sun sets, you are not able to do anything till the following morning? And it's such a big problem because those who are residing in those areas, it's not, the medical emergencies will not only occur during the daytime. And therefore, we started with a campaign called Light 1 Billion Lives. So that particular initiative was at least give a solar lantern to the families in rural India. And that really changed the way they started, because their day was extended at least by 4 to 5 hours. Again, entrepreneurship at village level, so it was largely women. They were trained for the repair of those solar lanterns. So it was, they had a solar charging station, and villagers will just rent it out for 2 rupees a day. They will take the lantern, come back in the evening and take the charged lantern again. So they were never had to invest. They were not worried about that lantern can go bad. That was the first phase. Then we extended this to small and medium enterprises. They were given clean energy. And again, it was very good in the sense that now a small entrepreneur knew in the morning, if it's a sunny day, he's sure to get lighting, enough light to run his small entrepreneurship. And it's clean energy, so there is no danger, like if the pollution level goes up, no one is telling them to switch off their generators and so on. So it's a clean energy, cheap energy, which was made available to them. So that was on the entrepreneurship side. And now with the initiative of Honorable Prime Minister and this government, all the villages are electrified. But again, I'll come back to, is it 24/7? And is it affordable? And that is where solar and renewable energy, including biogas, is going to play a very important role. So what we are now doing is, it's phase 2, LABL 2, that is for billion livelihoods. That how do you translate this new energy transition that they can generate energy at their footsteps, and how can they take it for their own benefit? And you know what we all neglect here? What is happening if you go to rural India? First of all, they have very few opportunities. We always say, Kisan garib paida hota hai, garib marta hai. We tried, Prime Minister is trying his level best and otherwise double the income of the farmer. But the harsh reality still remains that at the time of independence, the average farmer's income was half of average Indian, but today it is 1/5 of average Indian. So tell me who would like to remain in farming? And they are not. So what is happening? Their children don't want to enter farming. The male citizens, they are migrating to cities. They are forced to live in a slum-like conditions. Their wives are back at the farm, working very hard just to make the two ends meet. And in a way, if you want to believe in God, I think they say become farmer, because each day is a challenge. If they get a bumper crop, they are unable to sell. If it's a bad year, in any case, production is going to be lower. Now, with this opportunity that they have energy, they will have n number of other occupations, food processing. They will be able to set up cool chambers so that they store the food till the time it is ready to be sold. It's not that they have to sell it on that very day. So it's going to change the entire economical situation, socio-economical conditions for the villagers, and that is what we want. India can only become Viksit Bharat if we take them as partners, and they also become partners in contributing to our growth. It's not 35% of the food going waste. If that food is available, the entire country will have nutritious food at affordable price. That is what we want.
Dr. Dhawan, absolutely. Access. At the end of the day, access. Those who don't have access, what are we talking about? And without energy, are you going to go forward? The answer is no. Mr. Ramakumar. So, of course, we have this big energy conundrum. But what is India doing today? I'm not interested in what we are thinking today. I want to know, what are we doing today about addressing the energy conundrum? I'm not talking about how do we get LPG tankers. That somebody else will sort out. And how do we do refining of petroleum products, and where do we explore different? What do we do in related areas of using what we have locally? And what is, let me say, the gen next on all of this?
Thank you very much, and very good afternoon to all of you. Just to take forward and to directly respond to your question, far away from the import disruptions of LPG, gasoline, what you open any TV news channel today, we are all really worried that whether your next gas refill is going to be in time or not, whether your house fires are going to be burnt continuously or not. These are some of the basic questions, if not to many of us, but at least for average Indian, these are some of the questions for the past 15, 20 days. So I'm asking that Gen Next, what it should do and what it is doing, a lot of people is, instead of perennially depending on import of energy forms, whatever energy that you want to import, there is a lot of molecule treasure within the country. Within our own geography, within our own, there is a molecular treasure. Please mark my words, molecular treasures. I'll give you a few numbers to substantiate my statement. We generate, as a nation, we generate 228 agricultural biomass, 228 million tons of agricultural biomass. We generate from the sugar industry, DCM is one of the leading players in the sugar industry. From the sugar industry itself, as a nation, we generate bagasse, the sugar waste. I'm not even talking about sugarcane molasses. I'm talking about bagasse, the least, lowest, bottommost waste of the sugar industry, 100 million tons. And what can we do with these? This is the molecular treasure that I'm talking about. 228 million tons of agricultural waste every year, year after year, and 100 million tons of bagasse. What they can be transformed without really looking for imports or anything. You can transform these agri waste or industrial waste into around 42 gigawatts of green power, not fossil power, green power. You can convert this entire biomass into around 60,000 kiloliters per day of ethanol, which can substitute gasoline as a liquid fuel. You can produce around 60,000 tons per day of compressed biogas, which is a green gas, which can again energize all your households. So gentlemen, what Gen Next is doing and should be doing in the next run-up to that 100 years of our freedom, most of our companies, their net zero ambitions are very much pivoted on exploiting and optimally utilizing this already available molecular treasure in this country. So my company, currently I belong to a company called AM Green. This is a group company of Greenco and AM Green conglomerate, which is a renewable energy major. And this AM Green is actually trying to exploit this available biomass into bioenergy. We have the advantage of green electron with us. We are the only one who is operating world's largest pump hydro storage project, so that the storage conundrum of renewable electricity is gone. As Madam is alluding, that what will you do in the night times with renewable electricity? But renewable electricity coupled with some battery storage or pump hydro storage, you can produce, you can generate, and you can deliver renewable electricity round the clock. But at what cost? That is the question. So right now the cost optimization is going on. So as far as my organization is concerned, it is having one of the most cost-efficient green electron. And right now we are actually trying to transform this green electron into green molecule with the available, indigenously available, perennial bioresources of the nation. I'll stop here.
Ramakumar ji, thank you very much. You know, one side is Bijli. We have a great shortage. But today, what are we facing the shortage of? This entire business of petroleum in various ways. But haven't we taken those great steps? Ethanol blending, for example. So thank you very much for pointing to that, alluding to that we have ways and means within our country to try and ameliorate this energy conundrum that we have. So now, friends, let's turn to the energy conundrum. Sandeep, the guys who are the big guzzlers, let's turn to them. I don't know if you're guzzling today or not, but the world says, or the biggest powers in the world say, do more on data, guzzle more power. It's very good for us. And the previous panel here only spoke about AI. Yeah. Frankly, without guzzling, that ain't going to go places. So what is Tech Mahindra doing?
Thank you, Ambassador Puri, and thank you, everyone. See, I'll take a step back. Some things which I just wanted to share will bring a corporate angle to the whole process. In Tech Mahindra, we started in a very structured way on sustainability around 2006-07, and we were kind of early takers here. I was brought in as a Chief Sustainability Officer in 2006-07. Been a long journey. Don't ask me, I didn't get promoted, but this is where it is. But, you know, all these years, there has been, when we started in 6-7, it was a confused world. When you ask sustainability, somebody said it is triple bottom line, somebody said it is people, profit, and environment. Everybody had, somebody even said it's a shared value. Now, I went from one table to another table asking what it exactly meant. Somebody said you will plant trees. I said, C-suite, planting trees, what could be better? So, but then I said, let's forget. Let me decide what should be the whole sustainability aspect. We started building from the grassroots level a company with a purpose. So a purpose was created during that time. And today when I speak to you, Ambassador Puri, you mentioned, today we lead most of the benchmarks. Dow Jones Sustainability Index, 91 out of 100. Globally ranked #1. Now, where do I get more 9 marks? Now, this is on environment, social, and governance. So that means it also includes not only the environment part, but the social, very important, humanities, how do you really look at it? Now, all these, what did I do different? Now, very proudly, as I said, is again, we will be the first Indian company to be net zero by 2035. And this is SBTi net zero approved. Now, other than this, on the social aspects, we took a target that all our locations would be human rights assessed by a third party. And this year we achieved that target 100%. Other is in terms of looking into the zero waste to landfill is one of the very important aspects. How do you, means whether you're using vermicompost and other parts of it, how do you do that? So we said we'll get all our locations ZWL certified. We achieved that. We said we will have 90% of renewable energy by 2030. We are on the task. And we will be meeting those targets quite earlier than that. So this all will help me meet my target of 2030. Now, another very important aspect, we said that while we are doing all this internally, can we take this to our customers? 19 years of learning, we documented every process very well. And Arup is here. We have been kind of sharing our notes on a regular basis, saying that these are the best practices which world is looking at. So today we have started selling those offerings to the customers, looking into the aspects of consulting, what kind of solutions will really help customers meet their net zero goals and targets, consulting on scope 1, scope 2, scope 3. So all those aspects, whatever we learned, we have started taking it to our customers. We build very good platforms. Something we called as I.Green Finance, which is looking at how the financial aspects could be used to mitigate all the risks that climate is really looking at, dispensing of finance quite early. I.Sustain, which is looking at how the ESG data is captured. Now, this is again AI-based. Today, you don't have to look at the bills to say that what energy was consumed. These are auto-reading, smart meters, all those kind of aspects. AI playing a major role here, so that you are able to see the predictive analytics. We are building digital twins. We are building the platforms where energy could be optimized. We are going to the data, you just mentioned about the data center, Ambassador Puri. We are going to the chip level to see that if the processes can be optimized, and that itself could lead about 10 to 12% of energy optimization. And energy is an enabler. Whether we are looking at data center, the huge guzzlers, one option is definitely we look at how the renewable energy will come into the picture, whether you really look at nuclear or hydro, whatever. That is the one place you cannot let the data go, but you will have to see the alternate way of getting the renewable energy. Other part is how do you optimize it? That means how are the learning mechanisms happening in the AI? Can you have the trained models which will save those energies? The data which is coming in very different forms, can that data first be curated to see that it is making some sense for those trained models as well? If data is correct, it will save quite a bit of energy itself. Because today, the data that it is looking at, the data itself could be humongous, not correct. If that data is given well to that model, it will work in a different way. So that's all, and then...
Sandeep, thank you very much. You mentioned some very important things. The first is the issue of optimization. But you also said something about it being part of the culture and doing it. Mr. Sharma, I want to turn to you. You know, at the government level, at the level of think tank, civil society, we come up with ideas, we come up with policies, frameworks. But at the end of the day, if the business world doesn't develop, if it doesn't deliver, and if the business world doesn't think that it's worth it for them, so it's not just about valuations, but it's about value also. How do you see India's business world thinking today and acting today on the energy conundrum that India faces?
Thank you very much, Mr. Puri. I think it is a very, very important question that you have raised, and we are already practicing the sustainable business of our agri-rural business. To quote an example from, is based on sugarcane, where we produce not only sugar, but as already mentioned about Dr. Ramakumar, is that waste which is generated out of this is bagasse as well as molasses. So bagasse is utilized for producing not only energy, but I'm told it is also can be, there is a potential of having so many chemicals also which can be produced out of it. That's the future. So that's what we are looking forward to, the next opportunity where this bagasse can be utilized for gainful manufacturing of those products, so that the entire carbon is taken care of. So having said that, this is one aspect, and molasses is another aspect which is now we are already using for last 6 years for converting into ethanol, which goes for petrol blending. So that is to the tune of some 560 kiloliters per day. So that's also amounting to greenhouse reduction in terms of the CO2 emissions. So with this, over a period of time, the strategy of our company is that in terms of what others can also follow, is that how we can increase our energy green mix in our overall energy portfolio. And that specific actions are not, Dr. Vibha already mentioned about circular economy. Way back, this is a very old company of 135 years of heritage. Very, very proud to be part of this group for last 10 years now, where these plants, when these were installed way back, almost like 80 years back, the circularity was in mind. Why I'm saying so, the power plant, the fly ash which is getting generated, the cement plant was set up to utilize that fly ash. Similarly, whatever sludge was generated from calcium carbide plant is getting utilized in a cement plant. So that's how ultimately those things were conceptualized and put in place. With this, chloralkali is another plant, whereby whatever chlorinated products are there, the chlorine or HCl which is produced, is further converted into PVC. So this is a circular model which is a real example. So this is, I'm talking about the chemical complex, which is hard to abate sector. But the other one, which is sugar, where it totally gives us an advantage of circularity, where this not only it's a captive power, which takes care of our entire power consumption at these sugar mills, but at the same time, whatever surplus is there, that is fed to the grid. So that is also available for others also to use, and for us also during the, because it's a seasonal product. So that also is available for you during the year. With this approach, the company has already taken, as I mentioned, initiative in terms of not only using this biomass, but at the same time we have thermal power plants also at our Bharuch as well as Kota facility, where we have provision of utilizing this biomass also, which we procure from outside along with the coal. That's also something which is a part of greening our energy portfolio. That's one aspect. And energy efficiency project, which Mr. Chandna already mentioned, that's an ongoing projects which are taken up year on year by various businesses and closely monitored by the board. That's another aspect. And third is renewable, where 2 years back we came up with our 50.4 megawatt at our Bharuch facility, where this energy is now being utilized as part of our energy mix. And going forward, we are coming up with 68 megawatt at our Kota facility. And recently, just 2 weeks back, our board also has approved 217 crores for another 48 megawatt at Gujarat. So why I'm sharing with you is at this point of time is that something, this is a journey. What I believe is that you have to have that, first of all, the mindset in terms of greening your energy portfolio. so that the ultimate objective, we in fact had taken our sustainability pledge as well, where we have targeted 2050 as our day for carbon neutrality at company level. On that, a very aggressive roadmap has been set up, and we are working towards achieving those. And in terms of what I mentioned, in terms of our engagement with the community, that farmers, where our business is sustainable, agri practices is something which we are promoting and creating that awareness among farmers so that their productivity improves, their income improves. So over a period of time, for last 7 to 8 years, there is a project called Meetha Sona, which has really given us a real return in terms of increasing the productivity almost 5 times than the conventional one. Conventional is around 50 tons per hectare or so, and it has improved to almost 250 tons or so. So that's something very, very amazing figures that we have achieved through this collaboration of raising awareness, but at the same time, raising this awareness for reducing water conservation, which is very, very important because sugarcane consumes a lot of water. So we have achieved almost 10 times water positivity across our company through these agri practices, where not only rainwater harvesting, but through these agri practices also the farmers are made aware of what sort of practices in terms of mulching, leveling, and all those things has really contributed in real sustainable business over these years.
Well, Sharma, thank you very much. You know, this is absolutely excellent. The fact that we need more energy, there should be no doubt in anyone's mind. As we pursue Viksit Bharat 2047, there is absolutely no doubt that you will require much more energy in aggregate and much more energy in per capita terms. This is an axiomatic sort of a thing. What can we do? One is this entire thing about how do we interact with the world, and you've seen various elements to that. But being the largest country in the world, the largest society, and the third largest economy, we have really much to do within ourselves. In various ways, this supply chain has to become shorter in various critical manners. You've heard from our colleagues here that much is being done, in terms of optimization. They are leading the world in terms of what they are doing. Secondly, what do we do with what we've got? Some of it that we thought was of no use, how do we use it? And thirdly, how do we bring about more access? So I want to thank you all very much. This is absolutely essential, wonderful. And may I leave with everyone the thought that Bharat Viksit in 2047, no doubt about it. Energy may sound like a conundrum, but India is not just thinking but doing today that this shall not be a conundrum, but this shall be overcome. Mullick from TERI, do I invite you here to wrap up this session, please. Thank you very much to my panelists, very kind of all of you, Dr. Dhawan, Mr. Ramakumar, Sandeep ji, and Mr. Sharma. Thank you very much, and thank you for having the Delhi perspective strongly here with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Puri, for anchoring a fantastic session and an exciting conversation for the last 30-40 minutes. So it has always been a pleasure to have you to anchor such prolific conversation. India's energy transition is unfolding at a time of profound global uncertainty. As the country advances today towards its ambition to become a developed economy by 2047, like the panel pointed out, and achieve the net zero emissions by 2070, it must respond simultaneously to the rising energy demand, affordability and access imperatives, and the accelerating climate risks. Colleagues, friends, success breeds success. On the stage, that some of the role models and some of the examples that you see do point out that the future is no longer to a singular linear pathway. Instead, multiple global trajectories are emerging, each with distinct implications for growth, energy systems, and climate outcomes, the ethos and the foundation for TV9's summit this year.
Today's panel deliberated on how different global futures could shape India's energy demand, the trade-offs and the synergies between economic growth, energy resilience, and climate action, identify no-regret priorities and strategic choices that can strengthen India's energy transition. Our partnership with TV9 has been growing over the last 3 years and deepening in the true sense. We are indeed delighted and proud that our partnership at the 2026 edition of What India Thinks Today Summit is bringing to you cutting-edge knowledge and success stories across various thought leaders and domain experts. To remind you, just a month ago, at the Silver Jubilee edition of TERI's annual World Sustainable Development Summit, together with TV9, we co-curated a CEO panel on rethinking scale and partnerships that deliberated on scaling impacts through cross-sectoral partnerships, where we witnessed leaders from logistics, power distribution, cement, urban transport, talk about how to scale and then grow transformations through infrastructure expansion, strong vision, as well as through innovation. These are important for the think tank that we are at TERI. And like Dr. Dhawan pointed out, together with these supporting organizations, we aim to continue to engage and inform domestic and international stakeholders on the business-justified case for the net zero pathways. Today's deliberations and recommendation reaffirms our commitment to strengthening these collaborations and co-creating solutions that will drive sustainable growth, not just for individual companies and for India and the world at the large. Thank you TV9, thank you Rakeshji, thank you Sri, thank you Aman for making this happen, and have a great day ahead. Thank you.